All right, everybody. So I've given this lecture 3 times in the last 2 days. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do it right now so everybody can understand it. And this is my opinion. I'm not a scholar. I really don't care much for certificates. So we'll just go from there. So we're gonna talk about dimensions for a few minutes. Okay, this won't be super long. I can usually sum this up pretty quick. So give me 1 second. I'm gonna put you on a whiteboard. And it's gonna be a new whiteboard. Right. And we're gonna bring you over here. Okay, so we're gonna talk about dimensions, and here we go. So let's talk about the first dimension, and the first dimension is going to be, hold on, let's see here. I need this bad boy right there. You know what? I'm gonna do it one better. Give me 1 second. I'll pull you back over here, and then I got a little better program for this. So we got a bunch of so-called graduates who totally believe that they're intelligent, telling us what goes on in different dimensions. And I don't think they even can analyze the dimensions they can see, let alone the dimensions they can't see. So here we go. All right, we're gonna put on screen share. And we're gonna go to here. Okay, so there we go. All right, so we're talking about dimensions. Bring this up a little bit. All right, so we talk about the first dimension. Okay, this is basically the first dimension. Now, the reason it's the first dimension, here, we'll put this up here and we'll go first. Okay, the reason it's first dimension is because there's 3 things we cannot tell. Number 1, we cannot tell if it is a line segment. Number 2, we cannot tell if it is a ray. Okay. And number 3, we cannot tell if it's a sphere. So if you imagine that you're staring at this and you don't really know what it is, but you're only looking at it from one point, then you would not know these things, right? So you'd have to get an angle. So by shifting your perspective, so by sliding over, you may see a couple different things. It may do this. And that in perspective would then tell you it is a line segment. Okay. It may do this. And continue going. And we'll just run it all the way up to here just to make a point. There you go. And we're going to call this a ray, right? And I think in geometry, we would represent this as a ball with a line with an arrow. which is array. Make sense? Okay. So now we're going to go to the second dimension. Actually, we already went to the second dimension. The reason we went to the second dimension is because we stepped out of the first dimension and we actually put ourselves into the second dimension because we had a perspective. So, well, the line segment and the ray, or the last one, which is a sphere. Because if you step out and it's still a ball, then it's a sphere. So this represents our second dimension. Okay. Well, how do we get to a third dimension? Now this is where it becomes interesting. Let's go to a little more complex on the second dimension. So we're going to go second dimension. I guess we'll go plus, or at least that's what it'll be. So in algebra, we call this a plot chart. See that right there? Right? And we number them and we can find a coordinate, right? Makes sense? If you took algebra, you didn't, that's what this is. This is a plot chart. Okay. There you go. And then we'll label our quadrants 1, 2, 3, and 4. Got it? All right. So plot chart is technically 2 dimensions. Why? Oh, by the way, just so you know, this thing is not a cross. In Latin, that is called a crucifix. Suffix. There you go. And if you were to read, look at Leonardo da Vinci's paintings, he actually does not have one crucifix inside any of his paintings, especially the ones that represent Jesus. He has a cross. He even has Jesus holding a equilateral cross or a plot chart cross. Interesting. So, what is the third dimension? All right. Well, to have the third dimension, you have to take this and this, right? Because we said this was 2 dimensions. Okay, right? Because we can plot it. Sorry, I'm not the best drawer. Right? But we're going to do something different. We are going to do something special with this. We called this, oh, you know what, over here, I should finish this up. There you go, check it out. X and Y. All right, now we're gonna go X and Y and Z. All right. Now, this is the third dimension. Why? Because it is 3 dimensions. Now, what's interesting about XYZ is this. If you take X and Y and Z, what do you end up with? Oh, let's find out. Oh. Well, this looks familiar. Hold on. What's this thing? Wow. That looks like a hexagon. Is that a hexagon? I think that's a hexagon. Is it? Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Could it be something else? How about this? Whoops. Let's run around with me. I know I'm not the best drawer. Thank God I didn't buy this for artwork. Uh-oh. What's this thing? You know what that's called? Check that bad boy out. That is called a cube. So, 3 dimensions. A cube is technically a hexagon, if you can see it right there, right? So if you were to put, if I ever do them this way, I always mess them up. So the other plot is behind. So technically a hexagon is a cube misaligned or in 2 dimensions. So 2-dimensional cube is a hexagon. Make sense? All right. So let's go to the 4th dimension. And we're going to come right down here to get to the 4th dimension. So this is the 3rd dimension, right? Because we got three places. And we want to know the 3rd dimension. So we want to understand the 3rd dimension. So if you ever study Platonic solids, you will understand something, right? What do you need? You need in 3 dimensions to find a location anywhere. You got to have 3 points, right? You got to have what's called a vector. This is called vector analysis, right? Where you take 3 points and you put them together and you find a point. The problem is you need the 3rd part. That 3rd part is called, so this is called a vector. We're going to put this here, vector. And then you need the 3rd part. And what is that 3rd part? Anybody know? I bet you know. That is called perspective. You need to be able to see what you're looking at. I'm just gonna, looks like a buggy little eye, huh? We'll give him a little ear. How about that? There, it's got an ear, but it's an eyeball, and he's looking, and he's going to connect to the 3 points, just like this. See that? Boom, boom, boom. We have a point. And in Plato, we call this a tetrahedron. That's right. The Platonic solid, the tetrahedron, is actually a vector analysis with a point of origin that gives you perspective so that you can find a singular location inside the 3rd dimension. Now, here's the problem with the 3rd dimension. So this is what we call, because you're looking at, see, you're looking, right? But you're in 3 dimensions, you're looking in it, which makes this observer, the observer must be in the 4th dimension, right? The reason, and I suck at writing, so you know, the observers in the 4th dimension is because you cannot see the dimension that you actually exist in. You only can have hindsight, which is 20/20. So you must live in the 4th dimension to observe the 3rd dimension. So I hope this clarifies. If you want to ask me about the 5th dimension, I'm going to tell you That would be maybe light versus time space. So maybe I'll do another video on that. But I hope everybody got something out of this. And I'm going to stop share. Appreciate it. This is Robert Kraft with our United Republic, sharing our knowledge and wisdom. Have a blessed day.